Thanksgiving is fast approaching, and with that comes some selections that we have to make for Autumn All-Stars. I'll give you the best options right here. What's good, everybody? What's going on? It's your boy Rob, aka Roboto. Now, Thanksgiving is coming up, so I hope everybody has a happy and healthy holiday. Hope you have a great time. Don't get into too many large groups. But with that is going to come the Autumn All-Stars Fantasy Pack that we have to pick. Obviously, if you want to get your leaves and turn it into one of these players that could get up to a 93, it's a good time to do it right now. And we're going to take a look at some trends and see what we might have to do with this pack and see which card might be the best bet, both to get the achievements and also something that might be an actual good valuable card, right? Because you got to mix it all together. You can't just have one without the other. But before we get into all that, just want to let you know, if you are new here, appreciate you for stopping by. If you could be so kind as to hit the subscribe button down below and also hit the notification bell right next to it. It's the best way to support this channel, and you'll get notified anytime I'm live with brand new content. Also, thumbs up if you like what you see, or if you agree with what I'm saying. Thumbs up, like the video, smash that like button. I'd appreciate it very, very much. And also let me know in the comment section down below, which card are you taking? Because obviously I could give you all the best options, but if you need something for your theme team, I mean, I think you're gonna have to pick that card, right? So let's jump into it. Let's see what we got with all these options and see which ones are the best ones to pick from. One thing I want to stress to you guys too when it comes to these cards, and keep in mind as we go through these picks, I'm going to say this right now before we really jump in. All of this is dependent on if these guys actually play, right? Case in point right now, Ravens Steelers game is in question. It's up in the air. Who's going to play? Who's not going to play? Right now, a bunch of Ravens players have Corona, or they're on the coronavirus list. COVID-19 list, whatever you want to call it, whatever you feel about COVID, Corona, it's besides the point. The fact of the matter is that you got to pay attention to that stuff too, right? If Hollywood Brown, God forbid, knocks on wood, is one of the players that gets thrown on the COVID list, either because he has it or he's come in contact with somebody. Same thing with Ebron. Got to keep that in mind for any of these players, not just Ebron and Hollywood Brown. Got to keep that in mind, all right? So that's why I think it might be a good idea to just buy this pack and hold on to it, because we don't know who actually might be playing on Thursday. We hope all these guys will play, but we don't know. So when you load it to the game, how to get this pack, right? Obviously, you get one random through solos. So if you got lucky and you came up with a Kendall Fuller or Marquise Brown, even the Desmond Trufant, that's pretty much a W. The other guys are solid. Watson, Ebron, they're all solid. But if you got the safety, receiver, or the corner, you're doing pretty well for yourself. So where to get this new pack, or the pack if you haven't bought it yet, is the Autumn All-Star Fantasy Pack right here. I think you can buy 6 of them. In total, I bought one earlier today. I think I got one last week as well, because I did, because I got Hollywood Brown, because I got a Jaylon Smith in the solos, and I don't want a cowboy in my team, especially Jaylon Smith. He's a linebacker, so it doesn't matter. So this is the pack right here. When you get it, it is a fantasy pack, so you don't have to make the decision right now. And also, I would say maybe the best bet out of all of these two is just to buy the pack and potentially hold it. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna buy the pack and hold it and see if something does convert on Thanksgiving Day. I don't know if that's legit 1000% gonna work, but I think it might be a good idea to buy the pack if you got the leaves, hold it, and then make your decision on Thanksgiving Day when you see who is the one that converts over to the 92 or the 93, because these cards, you can sell them on the market. They're not nat. So just keep that in mind too. So if it gets boosted up to a 93, you can sell it on the market. As you can see right here on the bottom of the card, nothing is nat here, and if you whatever you pick is going to be able to quick sell, I believe right now, for the leaf value, and then you could sell it later on. So keep that in mind there. If we go through and check out my card, the one that I picked out of the pack last week, like I said, I picked Hollywood Brown. Now, is he the best one to pick from? I don't know. His trends recently haven't been great, and we'll break into that when we break into his card. But as you see right here, this item goes up 1 overall on 11:30 for each condition met from their Thanksgiving Day game. So that's all it really says on that. It doesn't say when the pack closes or not, and there's not much information either on the pack either, as far as if we buy it today, tomorrow, or even on Thanksgiving Day, are we able to get that pack and just keep the card and convert it whenever it is. It's also nothing here in the description that has a time limit on it. There's no time gates on this pack either. As you see, this one yesterday, the Legends Fantasy Pack had a time gate on it, and there's another one here. Yeah, the 50 has time gates on it as well, and also these Autumn Blast packs. So it might be something to consider, right? Buy that Autumn All-Star Fantasy Pack and don't pick it until the day of. But if you are interested in just making the choice right now, we're going to dive into the best options to pick from to test your luck and gamble a little bit, all right? So, of course, Thanksgiving is week 12 in the NFL season, so week 12 for Thanksgiving. So for this setup, these are the 3 games. It's going to be Texans versus Lions as the early afternoon game. Washington football team versus the Cowboys at 4:30, the afternoon dinner time game right there. And then the Ravens Steelers as the nightcap. 3 different networks there. So that will be a nice full day of football for those football fans. Down here in the corner opposite of me, we're going to have the card in question brought up through the pack so you guys can actually physically see what card I'm talking about as we go through it. So without further ado, let's first jump into Marquise Hollywood Brown, okay? He's the hot name that first came out when this was all revealed, and we all thought, wow, Hollywood Brown gets a +1, +2, potentially up to a 93. That speed could probably be very insane. And it is. I mean, he's a solid card overall. But, you know, some questions, though, in the route running and such. But as far as hitting those marks, he has 60+ receiving yards and 1+ total touchdown. So he needs to get 60 yards and a touchdown. He's only scored 2 touchdowns this year. He's only gone over 60 yards 3 times. Came close once, but 3 times. And recently, he hasn't done nothing, including this past Sunday against Tennessee. He was completely boxed. No receptions, no yards, no tutties. Hasn't scored in 4 weeks. And has he got 60 yards in 6 weeks? Will he be the one that gets that +1, +2 going up against a division rival in the Steelers, an undefeated Steelers team on the run? Last time he played the Steelers, as you can see here, he only had 1 reception for 3 yards, but he did have a touchdown. So look, man, if I'm being honest, the odds are he's probably not going to hit these. I wouldn't be surprised if he did, you know, 1 long tutty. That's all it takes. 1 deep tutty, and Marquise Hollywood Brown has the +2 up to a 93. But if I was you and you're making the pick right now, I would probably stay clear of Hollywood Brown. If we take a look as well, and I like to do this sometimes through FanDuel, just because on FanDuel, you can kind of check out the matchups and how these players will perform against that certain matchup. So if I go wide receiver here and I go down to Marquise Brown, he's playing against the 2nd best pass defense and the 2nd best defense overall. I don't know if that's going to bode very well for him this week. I would bet against Hollywood Brown getting that +1, even +2. Like I said, all it takes is 1 tutty, but I would avoid that very, very much for Hollywood Brown there. Lamar Jackson hasn't looked real great recently either. So skip on Hollywood Brown. Up next is his opponent on Sunday, and it's going to be Eric Ebron, tight end for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, this card alone has been pretty solid. I've seen a lot of people really like this card. He has some speed. He can move around out there on the field. He'll potentially get +2 with 4+ receptions, 70+ receiving yards. So if you look at his trends here, he's gone over 4 receptions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's had 5 games with at least 4 receptions. He's had 70+ receiving yards. No times this year. No times has he had 70+ receiving yards. But I will say the receptions, 4+ receptions, that's probably a safe bet for him. Last time he played Baltimore, he got 4 receptions, he got 48 yards, and he got a touchdown. So that's going to be something important to watch there for Mr. Ebron. If we go over to FanDuel here and check Ebron, the tight end position, see what he's looking at. So it's not too horrible here, right? Eric Ebron could be a solid option here if you really wanted it. He's averaging 3.5 receptions a game. The yards he probably won't hit, but the receptions, I say it's a best bet. So Eric Ebron's +1, I'd say, is a good value. Next up, we're going to go to the last of the offensive group here. It's going to be Deshaun Watson, the quarterback, probably the biggest name here. Watson, of course, is Texans versus Lions. So Watson's requirements is 275+ passing yards and 4+ touchdowns. 4 tutties. 4 touchdowns, guys. So that's 4 touchdowns needed for Deshaun Watson to get at least a +1 and 275 passing yards. And if you're looking right here, again, the stat muse, the game logs, 275 yards. He's hit it a couple times, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times he's gone over 275+ passing yards. 4 touchdowns, though, he's only hit once. So it might be a case similar to Ebron here, where you're probably almost guaranteed to get that +1. The +2, though, is going to be a little tricky. He's going to have a big game, and they're going to have to score a lot. As you see, the only 4 tutty game he has here is against Tennessee, and it was a 42-36 game. The highest scoring game for the Texans this year. So if we look at Deshaun Watson here against the Lions. He's probably the best bet on FanDuel. He's playing a pretty disastrous Lions defense here. As you see, it's all green. Defensive rank is 27, pass 26, rush 30th. And he just had a good game against the Patriots, right? So, and if you think about it like this too, there's a lot of Patriots-Lions connections. Obviously, Matt Patricia is of the same Patriots coaching lineage. So you have to imagine a lot of those Patriots schemes, mentalities, thought processes are really coming into Detroit with Matt Patricia's team. So I don't think it's a bad option here, right? He's averaging 288 passing yards per game, and 2 passing touchdowns per game. I think Deshaun Watson might be a good, probably the best offensive player to pick out of this. If you really want to hit those requirements, he's probably almost immediately going to get 275 passing yards unless he completely, crumbles under pressure, which I'm not sure. New coach there, so it might be their time to shine in Houston. And I think it's going to be a good, fun event on Thursday early afternoon with Deshaun Watson getting that prime time or prime midday look on a holiday. So Watson is probably my best bet for the offensive side of the ball. Now, flipping over to the defensive side of the ball, we're going to go over Watson's opponent on Thursday, Desmond Trufant of the Detroit Lions. Now, Trufant's requirements are 3+ tackles, 1+ interceptions. Now, he hasn't played much this year. He missed basically all of October and early parts of the year, but he's played the last 3 weeks for the Lions. He's gone over 3 tackles twice, so 2 out of his 3 recent games, actually, he's gotten over that. And interceptions, he has 1 of the year, but his interception came this past week against Carolina. But, it was a bad Carolina team with a new quarterback under center. So Deshaun Watson is who he's going up against, and we just went over Watson's case. Here's the Lions defense overall. Like I said earlier, they're pretty garbage. They barely get an interception a game. They allow a lot of points per game. They don't get many sacks. They don't get much pressure. So I would kind of avoid Trufant unless you really think he's going to lock down one of the Texans receivers. He probably isn't the best bet here on the defensive side of the ball because, like I said, the Lions defense is garbage. So if you really are dependent on Trufant to try to get that +1, I don't think he will. I think it's going to be kind of hard. And like I said, he hasn't really done much this year to show me that, maybe he will hit at least one of them. Maybe the tackles, I could say maybe the tackles. But it's really hard to gauge just given what the Texans might do against the Lions, especially considering if Watson's just going to go off, Trufant might not be the guy that Watson's throwing towards, right? If Trufant can't guard all the 3-4 receivers that the Texans throw out there, the tight end, the running back. So I think it's Trufant's success kind of depends on how well Watson plays. If Watson plays well, you can almost guarantee Trufant probably won't get any pluses, right? But if Watson has some struggles or if Watson's throwing to whoever Trufant is guarding, then it's going to be fruitful for Desmond Trufant. So I think a lot of Trufant's stuff is dependent on how Watson plays. And I think that Watson against this Lions defense, his first opportunity Thanksgiving game at this 12 o'clock hour, really getting time to shine. I think Watson's going to come and show out against the Detroit Lions. So I'd stay away from Trufant, but he's a good card though. I see a lot of people using Trufant. It's not a bad card at all. And hell, he might get those 3 tackles. So you never know. It might be a good one to gamble on, especially if you want a corner that could be potentially on your team for cheap and could be a good corner later on in the year. So next up, we're switching to Battle of the NFC East. It's going to be the Washington football team versus the Dallas Cowboys. We're going to go to Kendall Fuller first, check him out. Now, Fuller's requirements are 1 pass defended and 1 interception. So if you look at his passes defended, he has a couple games where he has at least 1 pass defense. As recently as this week against Cincy, he has 2 of them. Once against the Giants, twice against the Rams, twice against the Baltimore Ravens. Against Dallas, his last game against Dallas, he has no pass deflections, no interceptions, but he does have 4 picks on the year. 2 of them coming against Lamar Jackson, 1 against the Giants, 1 against the Rams. So it'll be interesting to see. I think Washington overall is a pretty garbage team, obviously, because all the teams at NFC East really suck a lot. So many eggs, they just suck so many things. So Kendall Fuller, 1 pass defended, 1+ interception. I don't even know who's starting for the Cowboys this week. I couldn't even tell you who their quarterback is, if it's Danucci, if it's Andy Dalton. I have no clue who their quarterback is. So if it's Garrett Gilbert, I have no clue who they're starting off the top of my head. I haven't really even looked at it. They could change it by Thursday. But if we look at the Washington football team, they have the best defensive opportunities against the Dallas Cowboys here. Their defense isn't half bad. They allow 22 points per game, which is 10th in the league. They get the 3rd most sacks in the league, and they almost average 1 interception a game, which is good enough for top 10 in the league. So overall, this defense isn't horrible, right? I think it's a good bet to bet on Fuller, and Fuller is actually a good card without the +1s. All he needs to do is defend 1 pass, just 1 quick deflection, and he has his +1. And an interception, look, if the quarterback's out there playing like garbage, Fuller's probably the best bet overall, I would say, on the defensive end, both for getting the +1s and also the value he brings as a card right now. He's probably a good safety on many teams, and many teams that have got him for free, they're starting that Kendall Fuller card at safety. Overall, he's a solid card. So I think on defensive end, if you want to go for the defensive guy, Fuller is probably your best bet. And last but not least, the one that's probably the most trash out of all of them, not really that much trash, but you know, it's a linebacker and he's in the Cowboys. Jaylon Smith, obviously, if you have Jaylon Smith's previous card for Rivals, you can put it in there and power Jaylon Smith up. So you can probably get him up to 92. All these guys have power-ups too, by the way, except for Marquise Brown and Eric Ebron. The 3 different defensive guys and Deshaun Watson have power-ups, but you got to imagine Marquise and Ebron will get power-ups soon, maybe in the next power-up expansion. Just something to keep in the back of your head. 8+ tackles, 1+ sacks. So how many games has he gotten 8 tackles in? 1. He's gotten close twice. I don't know if they're gonna do combined. Yeah, 8+ total tackles. So over here, then, if he gets 8+, if we're combining total tackles, assists and tackles, we're combining them, he's a good bet to get 8 tackles. He hasn't gotten below 7 tackles at all this year. So I'd say if you really are a Cowboys fan, if you really like him as a middle linebacker, speedy middle linebacker, he's probably not a horrible user either, right? If you put Lurker on him, I don't know if he does get it or if it's built in on him. I don't know if he hits that cover thresholds or if he gets the special abilities and stuff through the traits. So it's something to investigate for sure. Check it out on Muthead. So if you check it out here, his card on Muthead, it's just 1 card. It's a linebacker, right? But he has 87 speed and his 86 zone coverage, which could get boosted up too, and that's all solid. So could Jaylon Smith be like one of the first linebacker cards besides Sam Mills that gives us something really good to look at? I don't think so, but I kind of hope so. So that way we can start to get better linebackers and we don't have to play safeties all the time on the field. So just something to keep in mind there for Jaylon Smith. But if we look over here at the FanDuel scoring for the defense, the Cowboys against the Washington football team are probably the lowest defense here. So if you look at the Cowboys defense on FanDuel, how they rank, they're bottom in points allowed. They are almost bottom 10 in sacks. Interceptions, they're bottom 10. Fumbles recovered though, they recover a decent amount of fumbles, almost a half a fumble a game. But I don't think this is going to be the one where you want to bet your big money on Jaylon Smith. If you do get the pack and make the selection, I don't think I would pick Jaylon Smith at all. Again, linebackers really haven't mattered this much at all this year. Will he be one of them that kind of changes that a little bit? Like, will we start to hit thresholds with him and other linebackers in the future? I doubt it, so I would kind of avoid it. And also my Giants bias is showing, so I'm out on Jaylon Smith altogether overall. All that being said, I know I'm here talking big shit and I want to make a pick, right? I want to make sure I pick the right one, the best one that's best for me. I think I'm honestly going to go, if I want to get the most bang for my buck, ooh man, it's between Watson and Fuller for me. I think I'm going to go with Kendall Fuller. I think I'm going to go Kendall Fuller. Mostly because Deshaun Watson's archetype isn't great. So Fuller here at 91 overall, potential up to a 93. I'm probably going to start him right now instead of Marcus May. I think Fuller is a good bet to get both of his +1s to get a 93 overall. If I had to power rank them top 3, I'd say number 1 is Fuller, number 2 Deshaun Watson, 3 Eric Ebron. Honorable mention there to Jaylon Smith if he gets it, but I'd try to avoid Trufant and Marquise Brown if possible. Those cards are both good cards right now in 91s, but if you're trying to get the +1s, I try to avoid those guys. But of course, I'd love if they shut me the hell up and prove me wrong and everybody gets +2s and we all are happy with the cards that we pick. But we'll see what happens this Thanksgiving. Also, keep in mind one more time, if you buy that pack, I'm pretty sure you can hold it through Thanksgiving and make your choice. So keep that in mind. If you can get the pack and hold it, try to hold it as long as you can and then make the pick when you have to make it. And that card can be sold. Let's check it out just to confirm that this card can be sold, right? So if we go overall, we go switch to newest, I hit LB, auction, it's up for auction right now for 130K. So keep that in mind, guys. You can sell these cards when you get them, all right? That's gonna do it for this video today. Appreciate y'all for stopping by. Let me know in the comments below who you picking, all right? Peace.